Okay, this is a more recent update of the simulator, a tour of the sim. I last recorded one maybe, I don't know, 3 years ago. And since we've moved to Florida, some things are different, so I was just going to do a quick walk around. I know a lot of people have questions about how things are configured and set up and the rest, so hopefully this will help with that. I'm streaming this live as well, so that inhibits a little bit of some of the things I might be able to do with other editing, but I just wanted to give a quick look around. So the main PFD is a older Microsoft Surface that I've got, which is running Air Manager. I fly a Cirrus in the real world, so I have it running a simulation of the Avionics PFD. We have FIPs from SciTech, which are running different gauges from Sim Captain Mike. Sorry. Good morning, Sim Captain Mike. He just logged on. The gauges are from Tom Tsui at FSX Times, and they work great. I run without using any of the without running any of the SciTech drivers. I run just using the X-Plane plugin, and they work really, really well. And with some of the things that Tom is able to do with the gauges, if you have multiple gauges, you can switch through them just quite easily. You can also program buttons to do different things on the side, as well as the knobs. So this here is how I adjust my barometric pressure. You can see it works. So they're great, and he just came out with the G5 gauge, which really well, which is right there. We've got two Yoko yokes. I had Cessna yokes from SciTech for a long time. I bought a Yoko, and then they asked for me to test a Yoko Plus, which I gladly accepted doing. So we have the Yoko Plus here. We have the Yoko yoke here. I'm a big fan of the Yoko yokes. There's no detent, and the bungee-based tension works really well. When you really have to pull back to hold the airplane off in the flare, it feels very realistic. When you're trying to nose down, you feel what feels like control pressure. So I'm a big fan of these. I think they work great, and I would highly recommend them. That's a Cessna control panel from Desktop Aviator, or Cessna switch panel. I also have the Desktop Aviator fuel panel. That's a Flight Sounds dual intercom system. An old SciTech TP or throttle quadrant here, which actually is disconnected. I just keep it there for aesthetics right now. And a SciTech trim wheel. This is the TPM unit from Verino. Works really, really well. I'm a big fan of it. The Flight Illusions radio stack, which we'll turn on in a second. And then these are a GNS 430 and a 530 unit from Real Sim Gear. They also work really, really well. iPad is running 4Flight, which is my electronic flight bag in the real world. And I just bought and I used this when I used to fly the Cessna in the real world, is just a yoke mount for that. And then we have 32-inch TVs on the side, which are 1080p, as you can see. And then a 100-inch projection screen in the front. And then we've got an FIP up there running the compass. And that's a annunciation panel or annunciator panel from SciTech. It doesn't play well without the SciTech drivers, so right now it's inoperative. And then a small keyboard that I use to input stuff, a small Bluetooth keyboard that I use so I don't have to have a keyboard sitting around. Then LED lighting underneath. Strip lighting. The glare shield is just 1-inch foam with some leatherette on top. This is an old one. I've been meaning for years to replace it, but I just haven't gotten around to it. So it's starting to look pretty ratty. I have a butt kicker on this seat. The chairs are just office chairs that I took the arms off of. So I've got a butt kicker connected to this one, and that is the butt kicker power button right there and volume control. And then on eBay over the years, I've gotten just some trappings to make it look and feel a little bit more realistic. That's just automotive window trim that I've got around the edges. And then on eBay over the years, I've found some sun visors and air vents and stuff just to make it look and feel a little more real. And then This is just muslin with a leatherette underneath that I just did myself. So we'll go ahead and turn things on here real quick. Oh, and then 2 Cytec Cessna rudder pedals down below, as you can see. These are controls for the lighting. There's also puck lighting on the sides. And that's pretty much the interior. So if we turn on the battery, the fuel pump, we put in the mixture, this should start up. It does, and then we can turn on the avionics. They come alive, and it's pretty much running. I just got asked if I'm going to upgrade the rudder pedals. Maybe. I don't think it's not much of a priority for me, honestly. So that's basically the interior up and running. Let's turn on the alternator so that we don't run out of gas. This is a little rotary encoder also that I got from Desktop Aviator, and I have it encoded or set to send keyboard commands just in X-Plane. It just reads it as keyboard switches so that I can set my heading bug with one. I set my altimeter, my altitude bug with another. I can set vertical climb with a third. And then these control my OBS. I haven't been able to code these successfully to send keyboard commands, but this does it just fine. And that's how I can set my course. So that's a general sense of how all that stuff works. This is unplugged at the moment because this is COM 2 and this is COM 1. That's the DME, that's the autopilot, that's a transponder. And that is pretty much it. You can see how nice Tom's G5 gauge looks. And you'll notice that it also is reading the same altimeter bug. So when I change this, my altitude bug, it bugs it there as well. And then that's the audio panel, also from... Well, Fracture just said you're going to leave if I don't read the chat. Well, the chat pops up when you're streaming live on your iPhone, one comment at a time. So it's a little difficult for me to see them all, since they only appear for a moment. So I'm sorry that that's disturbing you, but I only see the comments come up for a second, and since I'm shooting a video live, I can't see them all. So I'm just going to have to get back to them in a second. I apologize for that. Or you're welcome to ask your question again. Or disconnect. Both are fine options. Okay, so there's a view kind of from the back. I also have a fan plugged in here. It's just a USB powered fan that makes it a little more comfortable. And then if I really want to step back, you can see then how it's set up and running. There's the projector and the screen. If we come around to this side, there's the main PC. You can see the TV. This is just a 1/4-inch coroplast. Actually, I think it might be 1/8. Can't remember the size. And just wooden frames. I have plans for the frames at ontheglideslope.net. And if we're to look around the back, that's the chaos of the rear. So again, I have plans for the frame and everything on the website, and a lot of how-tos there in terms of how it all works. It's about the same width as a Cessna 182 cabin, plus an inch or two. And that's pretty much the tour. So, since this is live, if anybody had questions that I've missed and you want to throw them up, I'm happy to answer them. Yeah, there's certainly a lot of time to do stuff right now. Clouds weather. This is Active Sky XP, and I'm using the AGI tweak utility to tweak them. And I don't remember which cloud set this is exactly. I wish I could figure out how to see the chat in here rather than having it just appear and disappear while I'm doing this. I'm trying to figure that out. But right now, I can't find out how to do that. Yeah, they do look pretty good. I found actually the fast clouds that come with the AGI tweak utility work really, really well. And I've adjusted the contrast and some other things to help with this. Rotary encoders, yeah, so they just they send a keyboard command. Your X-plane will see them if they're plugged in. They just connect with a USB connection, and you can assign them to a keyboard stroke. And when you turn them, they are default assigned. So I think like this one's like A, B, C, D, E, G, F. I can't remember. But they will send a keyboard command out of the box, and then in the joystick settings or in the keyboard settings in X-plane, you can assign what you want that keystroke to do, and then they'll send that keystroke to the sim. I'm not an alpha tester for MSFS right now. I've applied, but I haven't been accepted, and that's probably for the best. The last thing I need right now is another distraction when I probably should be working on my real-world proficiency. Shout out for the real SimGear units. They work really, really well. I've been very happy with them. Yeah, Flight Illusions. Flight Illusions has updated the software. These work fine now. Transponder works well. The ident button doesn't work, so I've got one of these coded to ident. Yeah, I should have. Well, let me see if I can pull the chat up actually on my iPad. Maybe that'll solve the problem. I can go back and look at some of the questions and answer them. Oh yeah, there we go. That'll help. Yeah, Gabriel, great point. You can do that for sure. I'm not running the real SimGear 530 or 430 on here just because I want to have the most recent Navigraph data, but these things work really well. I've been flight simming since I was a little kid. I started building this about 4 or 5 years ago before I got my real-world pilot's license. Let me go back to the top of the questions and see if I can answer any more. Fracture, I'm glad to see that you've done it. That's awesome. I answered the question about rotor panels. X-Vision, I don't know. One thing that's nice, let me just show you. I gotta find out where I put the mouse. It's up here. It's a bit of an older plugin right now, but the Fly AGI tweak utility is great because if you've downloaded different cloud sets over the years, it sees them, and you can go into advanced clouds options and you can save presets. So I can load up a different set of clouds here just with the click of a button. And so you can go through and find clouds that better suit what you like. Now I have them set as presets where I have the contrast and stuff set the way I want them. But it'll also let you go, I go to cloud presets, go to custom configuration. I can just click through different clouds I've kept over the years here. So here's default clouds. They look terrible. Active Sky XP textures, natural. Active Sky XP textures, accurate. So you can toggle through different cloud sets that you've accumulated very easily, Enviro Plus, and kind of find the ones that you like. And then what I've done is I've set some presets with different environmental settings and stuff so they look the way I want them to look. And I think it's great. It also will set your frames where you want them and gives you other things that you can tweak. So that's the Fly AGI tweak utility. I'm a fan of it. Let me look back at the chat. That answered that questions about clouds and weather. Rotary encoders I answered. Answered that about alpha testing. Flight illusion, I answered that. Oh, on the flight illusion autopilot, what I ultimately did is I went in, and even though the Cirrus in the real world has an STEX 55, I told it in PlaneMaker that it had a King Air with altitude pre-select, and now this works pretty close to how I would expect it to work in the real world. So, you know, what I would say is rather than worry about flight illusions getting everything fixed, set it to the autopilot that it's most closely set to emulate, which is the King Air. I don't remember which one, but it's one of the default autopilot options that you can assign to a plane in PlaneMaker. That helped me out a lot. Hey Frank, thanks. I appreciate that. Question about VR versus real world. I prefer VR if I want to feel like I'm flying. I prefer the physical simulator if I want to practice at a real world level of quality for instrument stuff. Although I've gotten very proficient in VR at doing that with some of the aircraft. You just get used to using the knobs and the rest, and if you have Avitab and you have a Jepson subscription, you can pull in all your charts. So I actually will work VFR work or IFR work in VR as well. It's just more of what mood am I in for. Have you thought about adding an additional projector or two for side viewing? No, I don't have space, and it would get too hot in here anyway, Joel. This is we're literally in a closet. Randy, I didn't ask for the software updates directly. I just downloaded their most recent application. Again, 3-axis motion. I haven't. Someday, if we decide to all go VR completely, I'd probably get one of those 3-axis chairs that works for that. Does Vulkan help with VR? Yes, Vulkan has changed the VR experience completely for me. In fact, if you go into my library of videos, yesterday I did about an hour testing different VR settings and streaming settings. And the stream is awfully smooth, but especially at the last 30 minutes of it, but it's not as smooth as it was in the headset. Vulkan has made VR in the headset, at least for me in X-Plane, almost revolutionary. How much programming expertise? Well, I don't know. I mean, X-Plane works pretty well out of the box. I've done quite a bit. I've learned quite a bit over the years. So this PFD here in Air Manager, there was a default gauge, which I have updated over the years. And I learned some coding to be able to do that. I've written a Lua code to let me change controls. X-Plane doesn't read both sets of controls simultaneously. So as you can see right now, my left yoke is working, but the right yoke doesn't do anything. So I wrote a little script called My Airplane, Your Airplane, which is a Lua script. It's on the website, on the glideslope.net. And now I'll be candid here. Sometimes when you update X-Plane, it changes the numbers that are assigned to different axes and yokes. So sometimes it breaks when I don't know it's broken. But if it's working, if I flip this over to the trim button, then as you can see, the right set of controls is working. And now the left set of controls is not. But if I flip it back, now the left set is working again. I like to fly with my kids. My little girl in particular likes to get in here with me. And that makes it so I can pass the controls to her and pass them back. And I had to write and learn a little Lua script to do that. There was a basic script already online. Turn off the fuel pump. But I modified it some. See what else we have. Do I use ForeFlight or Navigraph? I use ForeFlight on the tablet, but I have a Navigraph subscription for the sim. And actually the Navigraph, I use Navigraph on this. So, well, no, let me back up. I have Jepson charts on ForeFlight, and I've got a Navigraph subscription as well to pull down recent data. So I have both. Frank, we might do that. She wants to. I'm a little nervous about putting her online, but we can figure it out. Oh, Ian, I'm glad it worked for you. So that's it. Oh, one other thing is, back when we used to do international travel, I was on a business class flight on American, and they served an amenity kit in these little pockets. This folds over, makes a little envelope, and I just stapled them in here, and I use them as side pockets. And I've found having side pockets is really helpful. Makes it easy to store some. I've got checklists and a notepad and stuff in there. Let me see if there's anything else. Well, I'm glad to see it's been helpful for everybody. Mostly, I just thought it was time for a new tour. I thought you guys might get a kick out of this. A good friend of mine, when he saw the closet, he sent me a sign. The hangar. So it's pretty immersive from back here, wide field view even more so. And if you play with the screen settings, you'll get them so the lines line up as I've got it there. I have it set so that they line up for the GoPro, which is widescreen and actually sits about here, but the iPhone here right now is not widescreen, so. Yeah, the closet hanger, that's exactly right. All right, well, I'm gonna go see if my little girl wants to fly, so I hope that's helpful for people who are looking to build their own sim, and I hope it is an update that's sufficient for a lot of the questions I'm getting these days. And thanks everybody for watching and tuning in, and I appreciate the support. And everybody stay safe and stay healthy. And we'll see you soon.